Hello and welcome to this level 4 video. My name is Allie with A. Speaks, and this is a part of my energetic systems series. I hope if you are new that you will take time to listen to the other levels that come before this. Just because it's a layered working with a lot of foundational pieces already discussed that I am not going to bring into the picture right now. So please, yeah, if you're new, take time to watch the previous videos. Links are definitely in the description. Here for today's video, I want to just lead off and continue where I left the last level 4 video. It's the sort of introduction of the makeups, the systems setup that is the external systems kind of look. I want to create an understanding around what the external world really is before we dive totally into system processes and individual systems and the workings and all of that within the categories. I want to just talk about the place setting, sort of, and the overall importance of perspective. So, with that said, I guess I'm just going to sort of jump right into it. Just looking down at my notes here just a bit so I stay focused. Last video, I talked a little about the way, and reminded us of the sort of dissection or the method of organization that we can look at with infinite intelligence within a whole, and splitting that into mind, body, and spirit, or thinking of that in the same as inner, outer, and flow of the systems. The inner workings of the system, the outer service workings of that system, and how they interact and work together to create the whole of the system, the service provided, and all of the workings. As well as the polarity collected, what it does with its energy, what kind of energy it has, and how it uses that in the next version of the whole, that its external world. So everything, like we've been talking about, everything's layered, everything is infinite. And this is the beauty of organic consciousness, of infinite intelligence, really, is that we, as we look, define purpose. That's basically what we're doing. When we observe things, with our attention and intention, we create meaning, labels, organization, right? And so we should use those skills as we're looking at all these different processes, because they really do all follow the same structural habits. And I sort of pointed out those with some examples of what the external, remember now we're going to talk about the whole, quote unquote whole, but we're only talking about the external system, right? The external toroidal, all of those systems involved in that major system. I brought up the external sort of boss to do with the body, the external internal boss that has to do with, yes, of course, the body, but how the body interacts with the external world. And then the external spirit boss, which has to do with, how the body is working and how the mind is processing what the body's doing. But also, it has a intentional polarity sort of accounting going on, a balancing. That's what the word I'm looking for. Oh my gosh. Early in the morning here for me, trying to get the video in quick before school. Homeschool. Anyway, so I sort of introduced those as the three major workings of what we'll be looking at for the scope of all system processes. And I mentioned, of course, that we'll talk about the processes and how they individually work, and then we'll talk about how they group together as the whole, and we'll start start section 2 on the whole presentation, polarity, service intention, how we, as this whole external system, actually interact with real external others out there. But like I said, for now, what I want to introduce first here in this video is the role of perspective in interactions in the different layers with external systems. So keeping with the model and organization, what I want to introduce, and I've talked about this before, so if you're not new to my channel, this won't be completely new information to you. However, it adds a layer of working to everything. And I think you'll see what I mean as we talk about this. So the external us, your system as being you and interacting with the outside world, is basically the umbrella that we hold for the external systems here. Now, this system operates on 3 levels. It has the inner world, right? And that inner world is your inside world. It has to do with all of the inner workings of your body, all your thoughts. Anything that happens in your inner world is you would have to tell another about, to have them know about. In the inner world here, in this perspective and understanding, it isn't just about the inner systems. This is a observation lens, not just the world, and using the same term, so it gets a little wonky, sorry. But I mean, I'm talking about new things, so it's hard to have new words as well. But the lens of perspective, when we're talking about the external world, and I'm talking about the inner worlds, right? This is anything for you that happens that you would have to tell another to. Yeah, it includes all the inner workings and your micro world inside of you, but it also includes anything whenever nobody else is around, whatever you're doing when no one else is around, anything by yourself that you do, that no one else witnesses, no other, external other witnesses. That's your inner world. And your inner world is the core of your whole reality. It is the basis of your reality. It's what point A, what you experience everything through, and only you. In each one of us, each beautiful fractal of creator consciousness gets their own point A to experience and build within. They get a blank setting, to tailor fit as they like, and everyone has their own inner world. And the inner world in itself gets split into mind, body, and spirit. And we can talk more about that later on. I just want to sort of introduce the layers here. But I'm sure you can see and already sense, and go do the digging for yourself and explore that inner worlds that I'm talking about, those inner perspectives, and work for, just assessing and observing, and you find great things. So we have this first world is the inner world. We're always a part of it. It's step 1. There's no real way out of it, and it's always happening. The second layer of experience in the external systems and of this perspective of the observer is the direct world. And your direct world is any time that you interact with another. At another place, you've been somewhere else, and another doesn't have to just be another person either. It can be another plant, it can be another anything. It all depends on what you, as your boss of your reality, deem to fit as a conscious other. And that's all about perspective as well. You have the right to choose. My plants are another. They are another life. I see them as their own beings, as their own fractal source of creator, doing their own jobs within the whole, just as important as me, with a language all of their own. And if I treat them and intend them like that, I am never alone, actually. In my world, my inner world, if I'm here in the room with my plants, it's actually my direct world. Yes, my inner world as well, but the direct world is formed around it because I have incorporated as infinite intelligence, another in it. I have set a boundary and label on that other and deemed it worthy in my reality, because I create my reality. And that's only for me. Another person, my husband or my kids, might not, have that same deeming of conscious other in the presence of that plant. They might consider it something different, or see it not as life, or see it not as a conscious being, and that's okay. That's their right to their own perspective within their worlds. Every person gets a chance to do it their own way. But just know that you hold responsibility. And once you've done that, once you know the power of your sovereign mind and choice, you become more conscious of it. And you do that with more love and care. You'll see, your world opening up, really. But anyway, so your direct world, again, has anything to do with any other that you're interacting with, any place you've ever really been, any other place you've set foot on in the real world becomes part of your direct world. Now, the direct world can be also split into mind, body, and spirit. External, internal, and the flow and the communication between all of those. And we'll get more into that, definitely. That's really what most people kind of funnel into when we talk about external service and systems. We always kind of think about it in that materialistic, direct world sense of others and interactions. And that is a huge place. But it's definitely not the only focus, and it's not the only available working. And in fact, like I talked about in the last episode, it's really kind of a repercussion and a symptomatic ripple effect from the inner working first. And so if you want better flow and you want better processes in the external, you have to correct the internal first. And then the external processes will follow suit with the change of the atmosphere and everything. And again, if you allow them to, because if you set restrictions out there in your external systems, and you have this sort of maybe a shadow infestation or some kind of traumas and things like that create these blockages where we have internal conflicts and we try to seek our highest good, but we self-sabotage. If you're seeing like distorted repercussions like that, again, it's in internal workings that have to be corrected first and foremost, and you have to really do those honestly and really commit to those workings, and then you will really see the ripple smoothing out. But yeah. So, anyways, the third part of this is the external world, and the external reflective is really what I like to call it, because it is a reflection. It's like the spirit. It's that third portion, that intangible, ever-flowing current of consciousness that is really connected in the closest connection to source and to all the other like available layers and worlds and stuff. So your external world out there, the collective reflective, contains not just your like imagination space and things that you think about but you've never been there, the ideas that you hold about X, Y, and Z place or thing you've seen out there, but it also is part of conscious collective, and it holds like space for all of us, for the whole to experience life in. And so it's it has a presence almost of its own, and much like being in a theater with a big white screen, and projections up there, that's really what the external world is. It's not real and it's not tangible. And as we build our real worlds, and as we interact with our own inner and direct worlds, our direct world might get larger, but we'll never actually get into the external world. You can never actually physically impact that or be a part of it. And we'll get more into that, like I said, later on, because just like we built the internal first and then looked at external, we're going to build on the internal service aspects first and talk about how our body provides service to us, how our body does service in everyday functions, and then we'll look at our minds, how we think about those types of things, so that we have easier work to sort of tone the muscle with before we look at the more heavy lifting that has to do with others in the direct world. And then even more, because there's a lot of anchors and these sort of entanglements, these sort of mind control, social, manipulated seeds of these false truths and ideas from the matrix overlay and all these negative systems that really have been anchored into all of us, and that hold this external reflective in the way that it is right now. There's a huge negative overlay happening, like an anchoring, trying to keep all of the building, all of creation, all of the light that's happening, all the attention, really, on the sort of negative aspect of the graph over here, and having all the points and all of the activity happening over on the negative side of the graph. So people don't realize that there's the whole other positive areas to grow and build in. But when the external world has everybody's focus on just the screens on the side, and we forget that there's a whole open area over here, we get in messes like we are in right now. And that's really, again, why I just want to harken back to get to the inner workings first, and that we have strong skills before we go and try to see how good our skills are, because that like I talked about in the last video, that's hallucinations, delusions, it's reflections out there. None of it is real. And it's as real as you choose to make it, and the test is all for you. All of it is there to test you and your responses, to see how you make it through the obstacle course of life, this fun house, well, not so fun house that I call it, right? House of mirrors. How you and your attitude is as you go through it, and when you come out the other side of it, your experience of it, that's what it's about. So let's not really get, lost and committed into the walk through, and placing all this real importance on figuring out why they put this mirror in this place and why this light is in that way, and why did they make us walk up these stairs and then down that, or we don't have to really get into the makeup of it to just make it through, but we can talk more about that at a later time. Because like I said, if we build the firm foundations, we'll never want to get lost in that kind of nonsense anyways, because we'll see it has no value to us, and we won't waste our precious time and energy on it, because we focused on positive systems, offering up our service freely. We have great gifts within us to offer. We could be busy for lifetimes just doing that and never worrying ourselves with these negative traps that don't even mean anything, that we'll never have a positive gain from doing anything, going through there. So yeah, we can, like I said, I want to try to just stick to the point here and just offer up these 3 different perspectives of interaction that the external systems always have at their fingertips to be a part of. They are not like firm boundaries either. They're porous. They are continually interacting with each other, just like all the systems are always continually interacting with each other. So take some time just to think in your own world and break it down for yourself, and assess within your inner world, within that perspective of just the things that have to do with you only, what are your systems doing? What kind of intentions do you feel? And what kind of attitude and emotions and atmosphere do you have when you think about these very basic, body experiences, the transactions that your body does all day long in your inner world, and how you feel about those. Once you can sort of have a conversation and you have malleability with the language a little, then we can look, and you should look, and think. Take time to think about your direct world and add in that layer of, okay, how am I responding to this person? How am I walking into this room? How am I presenting myself with this new job or project or whatever it is? Those bigger things, when we involve another, it's all or nothing. It's anything could happen. It's newness because it's supposed to be. And it's supposed to be an open space of creation that we enter with other respective sovereign tables, sort of, that we sit at together and we make a creation together. But there's a lot of distortions and confusion. And so a lot of us come to the table with baggage, or a lot of us don't even understand what a table of sovereignty is, and we have a giant heavy backpack of servitude on, and we come up to this table trying to just get somebody to help us do the work, or just tell us what to do, or just, make it easier, or whatever. And that kind of energy, if you notice that with yourself or within certain aspects and systems in your inner processes or your direct processes, right? Go and figure out what they need, and offer service, not pity party service, not this, enabling victimhood kind of, oh, poor you attitude to it. But a nourishing, supportive, I know you're stronger than this, you can do it. Like, what do you need to help you? Let's get it. What can ease whatever it is, you know what I mean? Or whatever, you have to be able to open the question up to them, to yourself, right? And when we do this inner work with ourselves first, then when it comes to an actual external other, we have comfortability and flexibility to offer out these other troubleshooting techniques to really help them, because we've done them within ourselves, but just like everything else, it's a process, it's a learning game, and it's never over, and it's always new, and it's always different. That's supposed to be the point. And so, yeah, I'm getting a little off kilter with just sticking to what I'm talking about here, about perspectives, about the lens of the external systems. But when we'll get more into nuances, and we'll be talking about each one of these sort of lenses, about your inner world, your direct world, and the external world, the interactions available from them, the type of information that we get from each of those, and what and how we interpret it and incorporate it into us, which is what is really the main important part of it. As we go through these external systems and we look at all the processes, we'll look at, like I had talked about in the last video, the 3 main sections of the external systems. But just know that as we look at them, the available perspective is also layered, so just add to another layer of confusion. But just like I said before, it's only chaotic and a mess if you don't know the secrets, the rule to it, because they all are following that same coordination. Infinite intelligence, intelligent design, whatever you like to kind of call that, it knows what it's doing. And it always is observable and is witnessable by these lenses. And when you understand, and you can just take time and witness through the lenses what's happening, you see it and you understand it. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. It's a little over 20 minutes, but I've done it. So thank you so much for listening to this short introduction to the different perspectives available on our external systems. I hope that it's been enlightening and causes some curiosity for you in your own world to do some seeking. Thank you so much for listening to me. As always, I appreciate your audience and your contribution to our collective. I hope you have a beautiful day wherever in the world you are, and I will talk to you next time.